Jesus said, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." Hi, welcome to the second week of Ransoming the Captive.
It's interesting because now in the latter days we do understand this a little better, don't we? Through the revealing of Jesus Christ and what he did on the cross for us, the ransoming that Jesus did that took place in our lives. The visible God offered himself as our ransom. And in the very last days, in fact, Revelation, the book of Revelation, reveals Jesus appearing in heaven and his work being complete. The angels sing a new song to him, praising him for being our ransom. So I'll read this to you, reading a lot of scripture today, so it may be a little hard to follow along, but bear with me. Listen to this. "And when he had taken the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each holding a harp and a golden bowl full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song, saying, 'Worthy are you to take the scroll and to open its seals, for you were slain. And by your blood you ransomed people for God from every tribe and language and people and nation. And you have made them a kingdom and priests to our God.'" By your blood you ransomed people for God. Now this word ransom I found really interesting. The Greek word agorazo, which means to be in the marketplace, to do business, to buy or to sell. And this is something I learned as I researched this word a little bit, that in the book of Revelation they're portraying Jesus as a businessman. Jesus was buying and selling his blood. Isn't that interesting? Jesus the businessman buying back captives. It just shows sort of how earthly this business of redemption really is. He doesn't just redeem us physically, but he redeems us spiritually. He spills his very own physical blood to redeem our spirits, our souls, and our bodies. And you know, one of the key stories that really fits in, one of the stories that helps us to understand this idea of Jesus as a businessman comes from, does anyone know what I'm going to say? Schindler. Has anyone ever seen the movie or read the book? Listen to this. Oskar Schindler was a sentimentalist who loved the simplicity of doing good. He was a man full of flaws, to be sure, but an ordinary man who, even in the worst of circumstances, did extraordinary things matched by no one. The unlikeliest of role models, who started again by earning millions as a war profiteer, but giving it all away to free almost 1,300 Jews. Irvin Glavin, his attorney and his friend, was the one who bought the rights to the film in 1980, and he later recalled Schindler with affection but also great admiration. He says this is interesting. He drank, yes he drank. He liked women. He bribed, but he bribed for a good purpose. And all of these things worked. If it were not for this kind of person, he probably wouldn't have succeeded. Whatever it took to save a life, he did. Whatever it took to save a life, he did. Now, I'd like to sort of compare this to Jesus, not the bribing, not the loving of women, but that last part of the story. Whatever it took to save a life, he did. Because this is what Jesus did for us, essentially, wasn't it? Whatever it took, Jesus did it. And in Oskar Schindler's case, he did it to free 1,300 Jews. He gave up his last penny. He was extremely rich, and he gave it all up for these individuals. But what Oskar Schindler did was spend his money, right? What did Jesus do for us? Jesus did something much more than spend all his money for us. Does anyone know? What did Jesus do for us?
He died on the cross for us.
Right, he actually gave his life, didn't he? A much higher price, a much higher cost than Oskar Schindler. Oskar Schindler did something that many of us could not even imagine doing. But Jesus did so much more. Jesus did whatever it took to save a life. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be your slave. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many.
And when the 10 heard it, they were indignant at the two brothers. But Jesus called them to him and said, You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. It shall not be so among you, but whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be your slave, even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. For more information on .W Evangelical Church, check out ericfoley.com.
Hear the word, do the word. .W